All right, let's try this. Here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through how to get testing working with VS Code for a Java project. So first I'm going to make a new Java project. I'm going to go down here to create Java project. I don't need any build tools. And I'll navigate to 220. I have this folder. It's called Java Test, which is a stupid name. Remember, when you're making a new project, first you select the folder, but this isn't where the code's going to be stored. I'm going to select this, even though there's a bunch of other stuff in here. And now I give the name of the project, which I'm going to call JUnit example. I am going to go with JUnit. So we do that, and then boom, we've got our stuff up here. I always have this little welcome thing. I'm just going to close that because it's in my way. So you can see here's our standard app. Now, if you notice, I have open editors in this JUnit example. Oh, and it figured out it was a Java project. Sometimes it doesn't figure out it's a Java project right away. And when that happens, what I've done in the past is I've just like, oh, of course, my face is in the way. You know, the little run button. I've used the run button. Um, Anyway, seems legit. So we've got our Java project. I'm going to go ahead and, looking down here. And if you notice, JRE, this is all the JRE Java runtime environment. That's basically the core Java libraries and reference libraries. You notice this is empty. There's no reference libraries here. So we're using the core Java libraries because it's a basic Java project, but we're not importing any other Java projects. And if we look up here at this JUnit example, you can see we have our source folder with our source code. This lib folder, you notice, is empty. Lib is where you tend to put jar files or other external libraries that you're importing into your project. Right now, we don't have any. Bin, this is just the class files in VS Code. These are configuration files for that, and we've got a README. Okay, so if we want to do testing, what we do is we come down here to the little testing blub, blub, blub thing. Boom. And I want to enable Java tests. Now we have choices. There's two versions of JUnit, and then there's TestNG. They're all similar. I'm just going to go with JUnit, which seems fine. Test libraries have been downloaded into lib. What does that mean? Well, if I come back up here to my Explorer and I look in here, boom, we have two libraries in there, JUnit and Hamcrest. JUnit, this is just the core JUnit 4 stuff. Hamcrest, I'm not sure what that is. I don't know, it's something having to do with testing. And if I come down here to testing, you'll see I don't have any test cases yet. And so I have nothing in here to run. That's totally fine. If I go down here and I open up reference libraries, you see I have Hamcrest and JUnit. So those are now sort of added to what's called the class path, which are like the classes that you're using. So now we need to do some testing. So the first thing, I don't want to test app. This is just the main method. That's stupid. I'm going to create the world's simple dumb class, which I used to do as an assignment. I'm going to make a class for a dog, not a dig, a dog. Boom. And I always like this to go on the next line. So I'm going to say private string name, private int age, constructor. I don't want to bark. I'm going to say public int get age, return age, public int get human age. Because remember the joke that, not joke, but the saying that like you take a dog's age and you multiply it by 7 and that gets human years. So if a dog is 12 years old, that's really old for a dog. That would be 84 in human years, and that dog's gonna kick it soon, possibly. Now we'll add some other methods. Get name, that seems fine. Set age, I don't know, whatever. Oh, we want a two-string. Public string, two-string. There we go. Good. So we got some methods for a dog. Great. Now I want to add a test case. So for this, what I've figured out, it doesn't really have anything about it being a test case here. So I'm just going to say, make me a dog test, I guess. And pull this down here. And I think, oh, it had some suggestions. No. Test the dog class with JUnit. Well, that is not it either. I know what I need to do, which is these test annotations. Well, that's interesting. Public void test dog. I don't know. What is this? Oh, I wonder if this is how the assert works. I'm not sure. I've always seen this done as assert true with JUnit. Assert is just a Java keyword. Like you can have like literal assertions in Java, which are like, now these are normally this would be like JUnit or something like that, which I don't particularly want to do. These assertions are like or JUnit. I think could I do test dot assert true? I can't remember, but these are in a particular class. What I'm going to do is if I hover over them and I do quick fix, it'll add a static import. Yeah, that's in assert. There we go. Or JUnit assert true. So these are assertion methods. And this is just what these do is it's just like, hey, I'm asserting that this is true. And if this is true, it'll be fine. And if it's false, this method will throw an exception and that will crash the test case. And this here is the test case. So that's age and human age. I'm going to do these in a separate test just for a second. And I'll say public void test dog name. Yeah, there we go. What? No, hold on. Test. There we go. That's fine. Okay, and then I'll put another annotation in front of this. So this should be enough to run it. You get these little arrows here. So if you want to run just one test case, well, actually the test dog age. I'll make this test dog age. Yeah, so let's run this. And it runs and everything there looks great. It just ran one test case. Now, if I come over here to this, it'll tell me like, hey, look, in your dog test. Oh, I guess I can run all my test cases from here. Cool. Oh, this is an interesting way that it's printing everything out. Well, I don't know. I guess that's how it prints it out. So you can see I have two test cases, 1, 2. You can also run them just by clicking in the margins. It'll run it and so on. So there's like a lot of different ways to run these test cases once they're in there. These annotations tell the JUnit test case runner like, hey, stuff marked like this, it has to return void, or it'll have some stuff in it, whatever. One other thing you'll often see, so if you notice, I keep creating this dog Fido with age of 3 everywhere, and I may be like, huh, that's annoying. I don't want to have to call that constructor every time. Now, if it's just one constructor, it's no big deal, but you might have a lot of configuration that needs to be done. So a standard way people will handle that is they'll say like, okay, dog, and they'll get rid of this and they'll get rid of this. So this dog is now an instance variable. We need to initialize it. We're not going to initialize it in the constructor. This is throwing out that well, we can. No, we don't want to do it in the constructor. What am I doing? No, go away. Go away. What we're going to do is we're going to add this before, this before method, and then we'll say public void init, actually it usually calls it setup. There we go. And sometimes you'll see this throw an exception or throws the lazy exception. So if you have anything here that throws an exception, you don't have to put a try catch around it. This just means like, hey, I just declare that I throw any possible exception. For test cases, this is fine. Who cares? So now the advantage here is like, this is kind of like a constructor, except it's marked with this before annotation, which means that JUnit knows to call this before each test case. And the reason you want to call it before each test case and not just once before all the test cases is in some of your tests, the test cases may have to change the dog. In this case, they don't, but maybe you would have a method to make the dog a year older and make sure that that works correctly, or change the dog's name and make sure that works correctly, or something like that. And so if that were the case, you would want to reset everything up before the next test case to get things to a consistent state. There's other annotations before class, which runs just once when the class is loaded. They call it before class because it runs at class load time. And you can Google like JUnit annotations to look at what some of the other annotations work. But, the key things to remember, you have a Java project, you click this little testing thing that should give you the option to enable Java tests. You'll know you're looking good when you come down here and you see under reference libraries, Hamcrest and JUnit. At least if you're doing JUnit, this is JUnit 4. There's also a JUnit 5. I'm not really sure what the differences are. I'm sure Gemini or Google or ChatGPT could tell me. And so on. So anyway, that's just some quick basics on how to get JUnit testing up and running in VS Code. And then once you have it, there's a bunch, you can run it through here. You can run individual test cases with the click in the method. You can run the whole thing, all the test cases just by clicking here. It runs. You can see all your previous test results and stuff like that. It tells you like at what time you ran them, and I don't know. There's a lot of flexibility in here once you kind of get things configured and up and running. And again, this is just a very simple example, but the principles are going to apply in the same way pretty much everywhere. Cool. Thanks for watching.